In this video, we're going to be covering deploying a Avigilon Access Control Manager in a VMware environment. Some important prerequisites to know and understand before deploying ACM inside VMware. ACM is deployed in VMware using a pre-built OVA template, which can be downloaded from the avigilon.com website. ACM can be deployed in both VMware ESX and ESXi and is currently supported from version 5.0 to the current release 6.7. Avigilon ACM is not supported on any other virtual machine hypervisor other than VMware. The minimum recommended specifications for the VMware host are as follows: a quad-core CPU, 1 terabyte of local storage. For high transaction rate systems, solid-state drives are recommended for the data store, and 4 gigabytes of RAM. Once the deployment of ACM is complete, the VMware console will only be used to perform maintenance of the ACM virtual machine and will not give access to the console. All configuration of the ACM system is performed via web browser at one of the IP addresses listed. This means that you may require a separate PC to perform initial connectivity to the ACM appliance with an IP address that matches the subnet listed. We'll first start by navigating to avigilon.com so that we can download the OVA template. Once you're on avigilon.com, you'll click on Support, For Software, ACM, and then you'll want to make sure that you pick the Access Control Manager virtual image files. Click the Download Install file. This will bring up a dialog box, and you'll want to save this file to a folder on your machine. Once the file is completely downloaded, you can double check to make sure that you have an open virtualization format archive for the version that you've downloaded. We'll then need to get into and log into our ESX or ESXi host. And we'll now create or register a new VM. We're going to create this new VM by deploying a virtual machine from an OVA file. We'll select that option, click Next. We need to give this ACM appliance a new name. And then we will click and select the OVA file that we downloaded previously. Click Next. Depending on your solution or your system, you will need to pick the data store where you'd like this virtual machine to reside. In my system here, I have 2 data stores. I can choose either one depending on how much free space is available. For this purposes of this, I'll pick data store number 1. My network mappings for this VM are going to be connected to my default VM network. Your deployment may require additional VM networks to be created or modified to support your application. We recommend leaving your disk provisioning as thin, and for the purposes of this demonstration, I am not going to power on the VM automatically, so I'm going to uncheck this box. For your deployments, you can leave this checked, and your VM will power on automatically once it's completely deployed. Go ahead and click Next. This gives you a quick snapshot of the information regarding your VM. We can click Finish. And now down here in the progress bar, we can see that VMware is deploying the host. This typically takes anywhere between 3 and 5 minutes, depending on the size of the VM host that you're installing the system on. Once you receive a completed successfully result for the upload disk and import VApp for the virtual machine, you can then navigate to the virtual machine section and open the new system that you've deployed into VMware. From here, we're going to deploy and monitor the console of the ACM initial boot. What you'll notice is that the system gets to this section here. where it says decompressing Linux, parsing ELF, no relocation needed, done, booting the kernel with a blinking cursor. This system is actually still in the boot process, and this is completely normal for initial boot of an ACM system. If you do monitor the console, this is all of the information that you will get upon initial boot up. Booting of an ACM system in a VMware environment can take anywhere between 2 and 5 minutes, so it's recommended that you wait before trying to attempt to connect to the system for the first time. After waiting approximately 2 minutes, we're going to go ahead and navigate to one of the IP addresses listed in the beginning of this document. We're going to navigate to https 192.168.1.201. Depending on your browser, you will receive a connection is not secure window. For Firefox, this is the menu, or this is the notification that you'll receive. From here, you'll need to click Advanced, Add Exception, and go ahead and confirm the security exception, and this will take you to the login page. You can log into ACM for the very first time using the default credentials. From here, you will need to follow the steps in the administration guide for proper setup of the ACM system. Additional resources for training and installation can be found at the links listed here.